Hey y'all, Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural Southeast Ohio, USA. Welcome back to our channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. This is September 21st, 2024, and it's a Saturday. So it's time for our Saturday show and tell and share on the farm. In this episode, I'm going to show you a product that we make from the meat chickens that we raise here. This particular product can be for people, but the way that we use it, it's perfect for our four-legged furry canine friends. So we'll show you that and give you the lowdown on that. We're also going to show you the flock that is currently in production. They are 18 days old. We're fixing to go into the barn. It's about 8:30 in the evening and we're doing some evening chores. So they've been checked. This flock has been checked multiple times throughout the day, about 6 times throughout the day. Checking their waters, checking their feeders, checking the floor condition, how the bedding material is holding up, checking the ambient conditions, particularly relative to temperature and airflow. During the day today, temperatures here in rural Southeast Ohio, USA got up to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which for meat chickens at 18 days old is a little on the warm side. This flock is approaching 3 weeks of age. They really want the temperature to be no warmer than 85 degrees Fahrenheit, but even closer to like 80 degrees Fahrenheit would be perfect. So one of the key things that we've learned about raising meat birds successfully is that we want them to have a heavy appetite. We want them to be heavy feeders, consume a lot of feed. In fact, we expect our meat chickens to eat about 10 pounds of feed per bird from start to finish in a matter of about 6 weeks. But the flip side of that is we've learned that when temperatures are too warm for their comfort, that's a time that you kind of want to back off pushing them to the feed, back off the access to the feed, let temperatures cool down as you get toward evening when temperatures get milder, and then encourage them to go back to the feeders. When they're hot, it's all that their bodies can do to thermoregulate to cope with the warm temperatures. So in those instances, if you know the temperature is going to get mild, going to come back down, you want to kind of wait it out and you want to let them deal with the temperature stress, the thermoregulation, and then later when they don't have that stress, they can deal with eating and metabolizing the food. So we are going to head into the barn. This is the container of what we're going to show you. So evening chores will include checking the chickens' wellness, checking feeders, and we'll need to feed them, so we'll fill feeders, checking waters. I actually refilled waters probably about 5 o'clock, so maybe about 3 hours ago. So I don't think that we're going to have to probably fill many of the feeders. And what else? Oh, we'll be closing doors. So I've been joined by my husband Jared and our oldest son Owen, and we're going to be checking out the flock. As I said, we'll get these doors closed up. We want to secure the chickens in the evening from any predators trying to access the building. Another thing we probably will do as we get a little later into the evening, but not now, we might plug these heat lamps back in and give the chickens some targeted warmth. We need to check the radar and see what kind of temperatures are expected overnight. If it's supposed to get like down to 50 or lower, we'll want to add some targeted warmth into their pen. So we're also joined by our youngest son, Drew. Hey, Drew, how you doing? Drew, would you mind going around back and closing the back set of doors and then catching the south set of doors as you come back around? So before we show you one of the products we make from raising these meat chickens, we'll actually take a walk through the pen here, give you a close-up of the Cornish rock cross meat chickens at 18 days old. There are 429 of them in this pen. And one of the things we're going to be working on as we finish up the weekend is actually removing this temporary wall, getting the paraphernalia out of this additional floor space, and letting this group of birds have all of this floor space, which is most of the floor space in the building. There we go, closing up that set of doors. That's the east side. of the building. So here's a look inside the feeders. Those will hold about a 40-pound capacity. So we're just going to take a walk around the pen. Trying to watch where I put my feet. I don't want to step on the birds or step on any of their toes. So that one's about half full as well. There's a lot of shadow. These waters are in good shape. These feeders are homemade, kind of makeshift feeders. We'll definitely be filling these. I really like these because they accommodate a lot of birds at one time. So, kind of getting a look at chores here. This is my husband Jared. Looks like he's going to add feed to these feeders. This is actually the third bag of feed opened today. So I put 100 pounds of feed into this chicken pen throughout the course of today. So they are definitely consuming 50 pounds of grain at a time, but actually at least two 50-pound bags a day, so 100 pounds of grain daily. We also have currently capacity for water of about 25 gallon in the chicken pen at one time. We're filling those about 3 times a day, so that's about 75 gallon of water that we're seeing them consume, so that's great. Now tomorrow is supposed to also be warm, so they'll have a hot day to get through tomorrow. And then after that, in southeast Ohio, we're supposed to see temperatures in the 70s as we are in the last week of September. So that will be just about perfect for this flock. Look how they gathered right around that feeder. And so one of the things that Jared's doing now is just moving these birds around the pen a little bit and double checking feeders. Our oldest son Owen there is closing up the north doors, and we want to do a little bit of an adjustment there in that doorway where we have some panel there that has just like the panel at the bottom of those doorways, but I'd like to have it from top to bottom there. So Owen, we need to actually stack one of those crates on top of the one against the wall. But look how many birds these feeders accommodate. So as we're moving around the pen and we're seeing the birds move around the pen, we actually ask them to move around the pen multiple times throughout the day. As I mentioned, I've probably been in here about 6 other times, and each time, you know, we try to gently encourage them to move around the pen, to get up and move. So that has a lot to do with helping the birds maintain their leg strength. And here comes another bag of feed. Jared's going to probably add to the large metal feeders. So as mentioning, having them move around, having them standing up at feeders and at their waters, all contributes to trying to help the birds maintain their leg strength. These birds grow rapidly. They attain significant size in a short amount of time. So it's important to keep their legs strong. And by them frequently bearing their own weight on their legs, they're constantly doing like strengthening exercise basically on their legs, and that helps keep them strong. So I want to show you something that we actually make from the chicken legs. I'm going to try to get to a position where you're not seeing a lot of my shadow, but that's why we brought this container out. We've made something that we have in here, and it's something that we make actually for our dogs, and they know exactly what's in this container, and that's probably why they're staying close. So down here you get a good look at the 18-day-old Cornish rock cross meat chicken and his legs and feet. And there's one who's, oh my, are you all given a clue to what's in there? So this is something we actually make from the chicken legs and chicken feet. Jared, are you demonstrating how the dogs like them?
No, I just showed them.
We'll go ahead and, yeah, you want to tell us about them? And then we'll be wrapping this video up.
Just dehydrated chicken feet.
Yeah.
And The dogs really love them, as you can see.
So we actually get those from the processor frozen, and then will you just give the quick rundown of what you do to go from frozen chicken feed to the dehydrated chicken feed for the dogs? And they come frozen in like a 2-pound pack,
yeah, like 2-pound
which
pack,
is probably about how many chicken feet?
About 20 to 22, something like that. But we just thaw them and put them in dehydrator and dehydrate them for about 72 hours.
Yeah.
Unless they're really
at what
big.
Temperature?
At 158 degrees.
158 degrees Fahrenheit. The dehydrator has like 6 trays in it.
Yeah, unless it's a really big foot, then it might need a little more time.
Yeah, we just check them. Show them how you kind of press on it.
Well, you just press like where the ball, their foot
the pad
is,
of
and
the
back
foot.
the pad of the foot, and back in here where that
and
is.
as long as you don't get any give, they're dehydrated enough to be shelf stable.
Yeah.
Good, and that's why you dehydrate them, so that they're shelf stable. Because you could also feed them to the dogs raw, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Once you thaw them out. 2 things I thought I'd add about your process of how you do it. You actually cut the toenails off before you put them on the dehydrator. Now, when you give them to them raw, I don't think you'd have to cut the toenail off. I was telling you, we have a customer that gets the chicken feet, thaws them, and just gives them to the dog raw, and they don't cut the toenails off. But dehydrating it.
Well, because the toenail, if raw, will be soft.
Yeah.
And then dehydrating makes it really hard. Now.
And could make it sharp.
Yeah, and now the place where we take the chickens to process, they have them too, but we noticed that they don't trim their toenails.
Yeah. So it would be. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. But anyway, so there was that. You take the toenails off, and you do them at 158 degrees Fahrenheit. What's important about that is you do want to keep the temperature like low, like 158 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
You want it below the boiling point.
Yes.
So if it's above that 212 degrees Fahrenheit, that's when you get into a problem with like anything bony having the potential
most of these
to splinter.
There is a little bit of bone right here at the very end. That's where the joint is, but the rest of this is mainly cartilage.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only thing, that if you got it too hot, you would have to worry about maybe some splintering. But with dehydrating them, you don't have to worry about that.
And we've never ever had an issue with that. And how many years would you say we've probably been using them here with our dogs?
Probably 3 years at least.
At least 3 years.
At least maybe 4.
I'd say 4. Very likely 4. And kind of the neat story about that, something that I think is a neat story about that, is our teddy bear dog who was here, Gus. He's part Bichon Frise, part Shih Tzu. He's called a teddy bear. He's about 8 years old, and he goes to a dog groomer occasionally because he's the type of dog that doesn't shed at all,
really,
noticeably. So he goes to a dog groomer occasionally to get his hair cut. And I had mentioned he's about 8 years old, and our friend that does the dog grooming for him asked me about how old is Gus, and I said, yeah, he's 7, going on 8. And she said, if you were a person that could tell a dog's age by looking at their mouth, he would look to be about 3 years old. And, evaluating his oral health, his gums, his teeth. And it was interesting because he was between 3 and 4 when we started letting him have chicken feet. And so the appeal for chicken feet with dogs is the high collagen, glucosamine, and chondroitin in the chicken foot. And so when the dog is able to consume that, it helps contribute to their joints being flexible and to the good condition in their mouth, their teeth, and their gums. That's been our experience with Gus and with all of our dogs. We have those 2 that you saw here and 2 outside dogs, a lab and a beagle. So thanks, Jared. Appreciate it. But I would say Jared is our chicken foot expert maker because he helps a lot with getting those made. So if you have dogs and you want a great treat for them, you could do some research on and look into dehydrated chicken feet. But we actually get those from raising these Cornish rock cross meat chickens. So, like if we take 400 to the processor, in theory, we could end up with 800 chicken feet coming back. But if you take your birds to a processor, that is something you got to tell them up front. Please save the chicken feet for us. We want to use them. So thanks for joining us at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry on YouTube. We appreciate y'all joining us here at our happy little home place, Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural Southeast Ohio, USA. We hope that you'll subscribe to the channel, and we hope that you will consider a membership. You can press the join button and get the info on that. And these chickens are pretty well situated for the evening, so we'll end up closing up the west side of the building, and unless we need to come back out and turn on heat lamps, they're in good shape for the evening. So then we start a new day with them tomorrow. They'll be here about 6 weeks. They go to the processor at 41 days of age, and you can take meat chickens from start to finish, flock to freezer to fork, hatch to harvest in about 6 weeks. So we hope that y'all are eating real food, sourcing your food as close to home as you possibly can, and supporting local farmers and producers wherever local is for you. God bless y'all. Have a wonderful weekend.